Good evening, dear viewers, and welcome to a new edition of the Daily Debate. There is no doubt that Egypt's foreign policy is one of the key factors that has made it a leading regional and international power. In this regard, yesterday, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Badr Abdulati, held intensified talks with the foreign ministers of Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates and Turkey to coordinate efforts aimed at quelling the existing regional tensions. Of course, Gaza, the main story, and the suffering of the Palestinians at the hands of the barbaric Israeli occupation, some more than 10 months now of brutal aggression against the Palestinians in Gaza that has left at least or nearly 40,000 Palestinians dead, mostly women and children, and over 90,000 injured, also mainly women and children. The mediation efforts were discussed to try and reach a ceasefire in Gaza. Of course, they also discussed Sudan and mediation efforts to try and bring calm to Sudan, and the discussions extended to the Horn of Africa region. And before delving into tonight's main story or main topic, the Egyptian foreign policy, let's first check this report in light of today's presidential meeting between His Excellency President Al-Sisi and the President of the Republic of Somalia, Dr. Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud.
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi received today at the Ittihadiyya Palace the President of the Republic of Somalia, Dr. Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud, who is in an official visit to Egypt for several days, where the official reception ceremony was held and the two national anthems were played. The two presidents held a session of discussions during which they confirmed the strength of the historical relations binding Egypt and Somalia and the common keenness to strengthen them at various levels, aiming to build on the results of the Somali president's recent visit to Egypt last January. The two presidents witnessed the signing ceremony of the military cooperation protocol between the two countries. President Sisi affirmed Egypt's position in support of the unity and sovereignty of Somalia over its lands, rejecting any interference in its internal affairs. The two presidents also welcomed the mutual steps between the two countries to deepen bilateral cooperation, including the launch of a direct airline between Cairo and Mogadishu, the opening of the Egyptian embassy in its new headquarters in the Somali capital Mogadishu, as well as the signing of the military cooperation protocol between the two countries. The Somali president expressed appreciation for Egypt's continued support for his country over the past decades, stressing Somalia's keenness to further strengthen economic security and political ties with Egypt during the coming period, and appreciating the role of various Egyptian bodies in building the capabilities of Somali cadres in various fields. The official spokesman said the meeting had witnessed discussion of various regional and international issues of common interest, where it was agreed to intensify consultations and coordination during the coming stage to continue working to establish security and stability in the Horn of Africa region. Following the discussions, the two presidents witnessed the signing ceremony of the military cooperation protocol between the two countries, and they also held a joint press conference.
Dear viewers, time now to have a reflection on the meeting between His Excellency President Al-Sisi and President Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud of Somalia. And with us now live over the phone is Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, the former Assistant Foreign Minister. A very good evening to you, Ambassador Bayoumi. Always a pleasure to have you with us. And sir, first of all, I wanted to ask you about the significance and the timing of this visit by His Excellency the Somali President and of course the fact that Egypt's long-standing position is unhinged in its support for Somalia's sovereignty and unity and territorial integrity. Ambassador Bayoumi? All right, we'll try to get the lines fixed here. So, as we said, we are going to be tackling the meeting between President Sisi and President Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud of Somalia. Of course, Egypt's long-standing position is unhinged in support of the unity, sovereignty and territorial integrity of Somalia. But mutual steps have been taken between the two countries to deepen bilateral cooperation, including the launch of a direct airline between Cairo and Mogadishu, the opening of the Egyptian embassy in its new headquarters in Mogadishu, as well as the signing of the military cooperation protocol between Egypt and Somalia. And I think we've got Ambassador Bayoumi back on the line. A very good evening to you, Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant Foreign Minister.
Good evening, how are you?
Thank you for joining us. Sir, your take on the timing and significance of the visit of the Somali president and his meeting with President Sisi.
Very important, and President Sisi is keen to continue our good relations with many folds. The Arab fold, the African fold, and the European one, and with Latin America also. So this is one very important visit for a country which is dear to us. We participated in the independence of Somalia, and we have even a victim, which is Ambassador Gamal Salah. If you remember the square near Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Tahrir Square, there is a small square called Gamal Salah. Gamal Salah was our envoy to the United Nations in order to settle the problem of Somalia and to take its independence from France, from Italy, and so on. And he was killed there. So Somalia has a long history with us. It became one important member of the Arab League. And of course, Egypt is taking care of all the Arab countries which are in a sort of a needy economy to help them with experience, with finance, and with education also. Thousands of Somali students are studying in Egypt, especially in Al-Azhar al-Sharif. So it is a long history of very good relations, and we are keen to continue it and to give it all it takes in order to make it even better.
Yes, Mr. Ambassador, I wanted to ask you about also Gaza. And we know that Egypt, tirelessly has been spearheading efforts to try and reach a ceasefire, the Egyptian mediators along with the Qataris and the Americans. What do you think will happen in the upcoming days, especially that we've heard from the Americans that they believe that a ceasefire and an exchange of prisoners is closer than ever, but at the same time, the world is anticipating and the region is anticipating a potential Iranian response against Israel to the assassination of Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh and leading Hezbollah members. So what do you think will happen in the upcoming days, and do we really have a chance to finally reach a ceasefire after 10 months, more than 10 months?
I am always optimistic in my life, but in this case, I am less optimistic. Why? Because Israel will never stop this war. Why? Because the Prime Minister of Israel will be in a serious situation to be trialed and maybe to be jailed because we have internal problems. Why? Because the United States is giving us a sort of double-faced policy. It shows to us that they are keen to stop the killing. On the other side, they are encouraging Israel with money, with finance, with weapons, and with information to continue the killing process. So my theme here that we have to close our eyes for the coming 5, 10, 20 years and to support the Palestinian resistance, because this is our only weapon. Up till now, we have more than 40,000 victims. Most of them are children and women and non-armed men. Even so, this is not enough for the United States to stop the killing process. So I believe when they come to join Egypt and Qatar in some efforts, this is for a sort of a cosmetic for their policy. But I do not believe them. I do not believe the Prime Minister of Israel.
Okay, Mr. Ambassador, but on one hand you're saying that this could take years. You said 5, 10, 20 years. I mean, at the same time, I mean, I understand that you believe that the major obstacle is Netanyahu. So anytime, so is Netanyahu, or could we have another Netanyahu? Could we have another? And will it change in the U.S. administration? Will it change in the U.S. administration, whether with Kamala Harris or Donald Trump, change anything on the ground?
It's not only Netanyahu in Israel, but we have now a sort of very extreme government. And the problem is not extremism. The problem is that they are ignorant. Most of them are ignorant. They talk rubbish. They talk something which shows you that they know nothing about government. They do not know what about international law. And one of them uncovered a secret of Israel, saying that they have the atomic bomb, when Israel has never confessed that they have the bomb. Things like that. So you have to be sure that you are dealing with extremists, but also ignorant. They do not know the basic rules of international law, or how to treat a victim, or how to treat the fighting process. Nothing like that.
Okay. Will it change at the top of the U.S. administration? Change anything on the ground, whether with be it Kamala Harris or Donald Trump?
In the United States, you have 4 authorities. Two of them is the presidency and the Congress. And both of them are biased to Israel because of the election and its dimension. The 2 other organizations are the Foreign Office and the Pentagon. Both of them, you realize if you talk to American diplomats, they know the reality. They read the file. So you will hear that some more reasonable advices and more reasonable opinion. So we are in the middle of this process, and we have to deal with it. Thank God that we have a strategic relation with the United States, and we have the dialogue going on on bilateral level, on the regional level, and the international level.
Okay.
So we do not lack the means to talk to the Americans, and we shall continue this process of talking and negotiating.
Now naturally and normally, the fact that U.S. President Joe Biden is not running for office again, he would want to achieve anything before he leaves office for good. Is that a good enough reason for him to pressure Israel enough to reach a ceasefire and an exchange of prisoners? Because also Israel will be gaining from the ceasefire. I mean, they would have their prisoners back alive, and they will not be losing you know, their officers, soldiers, and men and women every day, as they are still now after 10 months, because of the resistance and facing hostility from all across the region.
From the beginning, I do not believe that the United States really want to stop the killing. And they are biased to Israel in this process. But, of course, under the pressure of the public opinion, whether in the United States or Europe or in Israel itself, people are asking for some reasonable policy. That's why you hear sometimes that the United States is encouraging Israel to stop the killing process. But the reality, I do not believe that the United States want to stop the killing.
Okay, one final question, Mr. Ambassador.
Wait a minute. Take the Security Council resolution when 14 members of the United Nations Security Council voted to stop the war, and the United States vetoed this. So, what do you want to believe more?
Yeah. One final question, Ambassador Bayoumi, and it is regarding Sudan. How do you see Egypt's efforts in trying to calm the situation down in Sudan, reach reconciliation, and make humanitarian aid trickle in? And are you optimistic, at least towards this file, the Sudanese file?
Sudan is a very dear country to us. It was part of Egypt. I am of the generation who was saluting the one flag of the Kingdom of Egypt and Sudan and the Republic of Egypt and Sudan. And I used to have colleagues in the school or in the university from Sudan. Now you have 5 million Sudanese living in Egypt, and you do not see that they are foreigners at all, especially after the last development. We have more than 100,000 new Sudanese coming to Egypt. We never consider them refugees, and we consider them part of this country. And we shall never stop helping Sudan by all means, because it is part of us. It is also our immediate south neighbor. It is the River Nile. It is many, many things which connect us to Sudan and its interests.
All right, Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, a former Assistant Foreign Minister, thank you very much, sir,
Thank you
for giving us your time, and thank you for your valuable inputs.